Slow living is not about these like specific activities that you do, like you get up and you slowly drink your coffee with a book and then you go for a nature walk. Like, yes, it is those things, but it is about a state of being that is happening inside of your nervous system and throughout your body, and yes, connected to your mind. But there's a difference between understanding these things and some of the components of slow living and actually embodying these principles. So that's what I'm going to talk about today, are the ways in which I have been enriching and deepening my slow living that has completely shifted my relationship with not only like my day-to-day, but also my daughter. And my daughter's amount of tantrums has gone down significantly because I think I'm triggering her less. And I want to talk about these specific things about what I am letting go and what I am replacing those things with. Because slow living is not just about decluttering and getting rid of things. It is also about what are you going to replace it with? What are you going to bring in to your life and to your relationships with other people? Hi, my name is Melissa. I am a former therapist, a current stay-at-home mom, and I'm passionate about attachment and its relationship to parenting, mental health, spirituality, and slow living. If any of that interests you, please stick around, like, share with a mom who you think might be interested, and subscribe. You know, I had this moment recently where I got really honest with myself after multiple days of feeling mom rage. I had this like breakthrough moment where I realized that I'm addicted to anxiety. I'm addicted to speed. I'm addicted to going fast. I'm addicted to multitasking. And for anybody that knows me, they would not guess that at all. Because if you look at me from the outside looking in, it looks like I live a slow-paced life because I have been doing slow living for 10 years. For 10 years, I've been making it a priority to not overcram my schedule, to wake up slowly, to even not wake up with an alarm clock. I have been teaching yoga for like 8 years now. I go through periods of trying to limit my screen time. For like 4 years, I didn't go on social media. I make it a point to go outside and connect with nature, slow things down, try to like savor, you know, the smaller, quieter things in life. But with all of that said, I haven't really been embodying those truths, not fully, like half-heartedly. I'm sure you know this experience of you know something intellectually and you have the capacity to fully like say that you know it to be true, but then embodying it in your own nervous system is slightly different. Because our nervous systems, although they are connected to our minds, they are separate systems, separate mechanics. So you can know something in your head, but your body and your nervous system, it's like your subconscious. It's still in the driver's seat oftentimes. Those things don't fully feel like ready or safe enough to operate that way. And that's when I decided to be radically honest with myself and say, my body and my nervous system has not been feeling safe enough to be that trusting and be that patient and actually live slowly. My nervous system is addicted to this anxiety. It's addicted to the cortisol that runs through your body, just like how you can be addicted to an opioid or a methamphetamine or something. It's a chemical substance, cortisol, that runs through your body. And if that is what you're used to, because that was just happening in your life or your parents' lives when you were a kid, then that does feel like safety to you. And I had this moment of realizing that that resonates for me. In order to help myself to not push and force and control, do too much, go too quickly, for me to really live slowly and embody these principles of patience and trust and space for my daughter to be her authentic self, so that we can, I can develop the space for her to securely attach to me, then I need to acknowledge this addiction and do what you would do, anybody would or should do when they have an addiction, is admit that it's happening. In AA, they say, like, admit that you're powerless to this and that you need help from a higher source. There's more to it than that I'm going to get into this video. But basically what I'm trying to get at is that for me, slow living is not about these like specific activities that you do. Like you get up and you slowly drink your coffee with a book and then you go for a nature walk. Like, yes, it is those things, but it is about a state of being that is happening inside of your nervous system and throughout your body, and yes, connected to your mind. And those are the things that have shifted my relationship with my daughter so much. And I want to talk about these specific things about what I am letting go and what I am replacing those things with. Because slow living is not just about decluttering and getting rid of things. It is also about, what are you going to replace it with? What are you going to bring in to your life and to your relationships with other people? I would say the same thing is true for people that have addictions. It's not just about taking away, let's say, the alcohol or the cigarettes or whatever it is that you're addicted to. It's not just about taking those things away, but what are you going to replace it with? What is the, self-love that you're going to replace it with? What is the relationship with the God of your own understanding that you're going to replace it with? What are the relationships with your community that you're going to replace it with? All right, so let's get into it. I said in my mom rage video that what I'm practicing is one thing at a time, and I meant it. But what shift I have been making is embodying this one thing at a time and actually turning the dial way down to like a snail's pace of one thing at a time, which every once in a while it is even like I can feel the little squirrel in me that wants to go faster, but I tell myself to stay grounded and breathe and to feel the benefits of doing one thing at a time, because this really has decreased my daughter's tantrums so much, which then decreased my, fight or flight stress response. So therefore decreasing my rage. So if I just go into the room and I identify, I'm going to start here. And what that might be is I'm going to brush my daughter's teeth. What I used to do is I would hand her the toothbrush and then I'd be like, okay, great. Now that she's holding her toothbrush and she's kind of moving it around, that's a great opportunity for me to grab her hairbrush and start brushing her hair. Now we're doing two things at once. I slowed this down to where now I'm we're just brushing teeth. That's it. We don't do anything else until her teeth are fully done being brushed. And then once we grab her hairbrush and we do that, and then once that's done, we put that away, and then let's say we go pick out some clothes. Before, what I would do is if she was kind of picking out her clothes, I'd be cool. This is a good opportunity for me to put my deodorant on. No, I'm not doing that anymore. I realized that the anxiety that I feel from like the bottom of my rib cage, it starts to rise all the way up into like my collarbones and sometimes up into my throat. Like this thing that happens as I start to pile on, these are small ass tasks we're talking about, but as I pile them on, I could feel like this rise of pressure, and I'm addicted to it. That's like the best way I can describe it. And I think that if some people hear this and it's sparking something in them, then maybe you can understand what I mean by that. Is it's not that it's a choice, it's not that you like it, but for whatever reason you keep coming back to it. And you don't have to understand why, at least not now or ever, but to know like, oh, I know this feeling. This is a feeling that I sort of create every time I walk in a room. Every morning when I wake up and I immediately think of a list of the things that I need to do today, and then I start to feel anxiety. That is like something that I'm just so used to, and it's so ingrained in my system that I'm, for lack of a better word, addicted to it. So stacking, it's almost like, you know how what James Clear talks about, like habit stacking? I'm all about that. But if you start to like bleed them together, so now you're not just, you have to brush your teeth and then put your running shoes on. You're not sitting there brushing your teeth as you're tying your shoes, which is the way that I have always operated, but not anymore. Replacing that with is a compassionate, nurturing voice inside of myself who is reparenting the part of me that's kind of struggling to not operate this way. Is I have that voice inside of me that is saying like, it's okay, we can go slowly, let's breathe. I can tell that you're getting impatient, that's all right, and this is beneficial. Just think about how, this is helping your daughter. She feels so much more relaxed, and so do you. You're doing a great job. You're a great mom. I'm replacing that squirrel that wants to multitask and move from one thing to another so quickly with a more compassionate, parent-like voice inside. I'm also utilizing that voice to help me with any pressure to be perfect. Slow living is about allowing imperfections and allowing you and this rhythm or this schedule or this list or your performance as a person or as a mother to not be perfect. Because a lot of the pressure that I feel that then turns into frustration and rage, and also the pressure I put onto my kid that sort of triggers her to then have a tantrum, is because I have a thought and a voice that's trying to do things perfectly. And I'll admit it, what has not been particularly helpful is the fact that I do have a degree in child development, and I do have a license to practice clinical social work and be a psychotherapist. And I have this background that I have then now put pressure on myself to be like this perfect parent. And what I know intellectually is like, that's not helpful. That's actually detrimental. And that a kid does not need a perfect parent, but they need a parent who's present and willing to repair when there are ruptures in the connection. I know that. But again, I have been working on embodying these truths by letting them sink more into my body and play with accepting them incrementally, along with that nurturing, reparenting kind of presence and voice that says, it's okay, and you're a good parent, and you're doing the best that you can, and is loving to the voice that says otherwise. Doesn't shame that voice and says, I hear you and I love you too, and we're going to get through this. I believe that not only do our children need to securely attach to us for their own mental health, but for us to have good mental health, we have to securely attach to ourselves. And this is the way to get there, or one very big, important way to get there. The thing that I'm letting go of is sweating the small stuff and replacing that with putting my relationship with my kid first. Above the shoulds and the perfection is our relationship. That comes first. Of course, like big safety concerns come first, but relationship is more important. I'm going to give you a really small example, but it's these small examples that add up over time. So one of the last mom ragey, tantrumy things that I experienced with my daughter was over floss. So my daughter, we flossed, her two little front teeth are touching. None of the other teeth are touching, but those two are. So every night we floss right in between those two little front teeth. And she has been liking to pull the floss out of the container herself. And there was one day where she was just like really yanking it out and pulling it out really far. And, you know, the perfection in me or the shoulds in me are like, she needs to learn how to not do that. But the way that I went about it is just like, you know, kind of like grabbing it from her and trying to show her how. And I realized, you know, because all these things have been kind of domino effect lining up for me, that that's a small thing. Like, let's say she does pull out a lot of floss, like we can save it. We can cut it up into smaller pieces. It's not worth our relationship. And most things are like that. Most things are that small. It's about whether or not your kid spilled their milk on the floor. It's about whether or not your kid wants to wear their socks or not. Like, it's like small things that at the end of the day, they don't matter. What matters is your relationship. And again, this is something that I've known intellectually, but I'm really embodying it, really bringing it into my awareness and my being. And this brings me to another thing that I'm really bringing in. This is what slow living is truly about. It's about mindfulness and practicing a present moment awareness. This is what the yogis talk about. This is what the Buddhists talk about. This is what a lot of religious leaders, some, talk about, which is slow living is not about waking up with an alarm clock or not. It is about, are you practicing mindfulness? Are you in your body? Are you present in this moment? Are you lost in your thoughts, or are you here physically? That is the kind of quality of presence that our children need to securely attach to us, because we need to attune to them. And if we are lost in our own heads, we can't attune to what their needs are, what their cues are, what they're needing, what they're asking of us, the bids for connection to keep our relationship of high quality. Like, we miss all of that when we're in our heads. And so I have been practicing really letting go my thoughts. And I know this is like the hardest thing ever. Like I said before, I have been practicing meditation for almost 20 years. So I do have a lot of practice that makes this a little bit more accessible, but it's still freaking hard. Like, that's why it is a practice. That's why, you know, every like Buddhist that I know that's been practicing for 30, 40 years is still practicing, because the mind will do what the mind will do, which is like move at thousands of miles an hour. So, but that is what's required of us to really live slowly and be a secure base for our children, is to, the thing that I've been practicing that has been really helpful is just when you notice that you're thinking, just say the word in your mind, thinking. Just acknowledge, oh, I'm thinking. And then pivot back to, what do I feel? Get in your body, feel your feet on the ground, feel your back against the chair. If you're holding your kid, like, feel the weight of your baby in your arms. And again, I'm not shaming myself for thinking like, oh, there I go again, because that's just more thinking. It's just, oh, I'm thinking, okay, that's a cue to come back into my body. I did revisit Hunt, Gather, Parent a lot recently, because the other thing that I realized that I've been knowing and half sort of practicing, but not enough, is giving less commands. She talks about this in that book too, that in the West, parents typically give like, I don't know, one command every 20 seconds, like, oh, come here and shut that and sit down and whatever. And she said that in these more ancient cultures where the kids seem to be more connected to their family and more confident and happy, that these kids only receive about one command every 20 minutes. So I realized, like, of course that puts a lot of pressure. Like, you know what that feels like. Think about for yourself. If your parent or your spouse or your boss was coming at you every 20 seconds and telling you what to do, like how annoying that is, and how it just makes you feel small and disrespected. And our kids don't want to feel, they want to feel like they are significant to us and that they're respected. And they push up against the people that they don't feel connected to. And so if we give them space to be themselves, then they feel more connected to us, because it feels like, oh, you trust me, you like me, you're not constantly trying to fix me. But a command every 20 minutes, like, they can handle that. And I had to be really honest with myself that I wasn't doing that. I wasn't doing one command every 20 minutes. I still have to really, really consciously practice this one, because it's really ingrained in me just to like sort of word vomit too much. So, but that is something that has been a game changer, and I'm letting go of the commands and I'm replacing it with a conscious like choice to give more space and trust to my daughter, that she doesn't need me to tell her what to do all the time. If I just watch her, I can see that she can kind of figure it out on her own. If she needs a little bit of guidance, maybe I can silently like give her a hand, but I don't need to verbalize. And oftentimes I can just sit back and not guide, and if she needs me, she will let me know. Other ways, really small kind of micro habits that I've been instilling that have made a huge difference in my relationship with my daughter, and me not feeling so like sorry for myself, if I'm being honest, is like my daughter in particular, she is what people would describe as like a Velcro baby. She's my little barnacle baby. She has been since the day she was born. Now she's a toddler and she still wants to be with me 24/7. And so I used to like feel sorry for myself about that. And if I would just like walk in the other room just to go grab something or like go pee like really fast, I didn't want to disturb her play. And so I would just like get up and leave. And then she would almost always just cry and get upset. And then I would get triggered. And then I would feel like mad, because like, why can't I just like go in the other room just to grab something, you know? I realized that I have to let go of that self-pity, that these are bids for connection. And also, if I replace this with these small habits that don't take much effort from me, but mean everything to her and cement our relationship even more, then it's so worth it. And these small habits are, I don't walk out of the room without making eye contact with her and letting her know where I'm going and what I'm doing, and I ask her if she wants to come with me. Almost all the time she says yes. And so what I do is I just offer her my hand. I have been holding my daughter's hand, just walking around the house, outside, so much more. I just have been offering my hand, letting her know where I'm going and asking her if she wants to come, because she's a baby. And of course she wants to be with her mother. And I know, especially from the ages of 0 to 3, our babies need us intensely and they're completely dependent on us. And if we really embody this and know that that is okay, and maybe if there's a part of us that's sad about that because maybe we didn't get that and we needed it, then it's okay to grieve that and also stand firm in the like the knowing that that's something that we want to offer to our babies. So I've been holding her hand, I have been getting down on her level to make eye contact, and I've been like lowering my voice and just being more calm. Like all of those really small little offerings of connection have made all the difference in how much she gets triggered, but also me. It's like I make space for her and there's still space for me, and it's a beautiful like moment of connection where I feel really good as a mom and as a person, and I'm not going to get lost down the thoughts again of, you know, like there's something wrong with her or there's something wrong with this situation. I did talk in my mom rage video about how like we do need more help in our culture. I stand by that. I'm not saying that we should be with our kids 24/7 and we shouldn't ever need space. Like, yes, but what I do now is I make sure that I get that space when it's appropriate to do so. I've been asking for more help from my parents, my in-laws. If you don't have that kind of support, then for one, like, I feel for you and I have empathy for you, and I don't have any quick solutions for you, but I do hope that there is like space for creativity in your life to get like creative about how you can get more help. Or maybe you do have that help, but you don't want to ask for it. I mean, there's a lot of things that can be barriers for people. But if you do have the capacity to have people help you, then I encourage you to go down that route and prioritize yourself and get your needs met too, because we have to balance the needs of ourselves as parents and the needs of our babies. My daughter just woke up and I was able to nurse her back to sleep. So I want to finish this before she wakes back up, because I've been trying to film this for like a week or two and it just hasn't happened. And back to that like addictive feeling to anxiety, I know that when I'm being radically honest with myself, that is often rooted in this fear of getting in trouble, which ultimately is connected to this fear of being rejected and this deep existential feeling of being alone. I talked about this in previous videos. I will do more videos about this in the future, but I do believe that we live in insecurely attached communities and oftentimes insecurely attached families. And this results in this existential loneliness, which just produces anxiety. A lot of times I am just so afraid of having to get it right, so that way I won't be all alone. And when I recognize that that is a part of the fear, I offer that fear in me love and understanding, and then do the best I can to attach to myself so I don't feel so alone, and remind myself of the connections that I do have and lean on those connections, including my connection to God. Because if we believe and we know that we belong to this world, to this universe, then we don't feel so alone. So some of these things are micro habits, they're very actionable, and then some of these things are very deep and they take time and they take a lot of healing and they'll require a lot of support. So I hope that any or all of these things can be support for you. Please know that you are not alone on this journey of breaking the cycle and being the secure base that your kids need, and being maybe even a secure base for yourself that maybe you didn't necessarily have, or at least not the way that you needed when you were a child. Leave in the comments below some of the ways that you are practicing embodying slow living, so that maybe some other people can learn from you too. Again, share this with any moms in your life who you think would benefit, and subscribe, like this video. But more than anything, please remember that you and your babies are divine forces of nature, that you're precious, that you belong here, and that as we do this work of breaking these insecurely attached cycles and securing to each other and securing to ourselves and securing to the universe or the God of your own understanding, then we can and we will create a healthier world where we are more human and more humane, as Dr. Gordon Neufeld says. Thanks for listening.